You wake up, you can't move, your eyes are open, your mind is fully awake, but your body won't respond. Not your arms, not your legs, not even your voice. And then you feel it. Something is in the room with you. You tell yourself it's nothing, a trick of the mind, but the real answer is far stranger than that, because millions of people across every culture on Earth have felt this exact same presence, in the exact same position, with the exact same terrifying detail. This is sleep paralysis, and what's hiding inside it is one of the strangest overlaps between biology and folklore that science has ever documented. Start with the mechanics. Every night, your body goes through a stage of sleep called REM, rapid eye movement. This is when you dream most vividly. During REM, your brain does something remarkable. It temporarily shuts off the connection between your mind and your muscles. Doctors call this REM atonia. It's not a malfunction, it's a safety feature. Without it, you'd physically act out every dream you have. Punching, running, falling out of bed. Your brain paralyzes your body on purpose every single night to keep you safe while you dream. Here's the twist. Sometimes your mind wakes up before your body catches the message. You open your eyes, you're conscious, but the paralysis hasn't switched off yet. You're lying there, fully aware, completely unable to move a single muscle. That alone would be terrifying. But your brain doesn't stop there. Because you're still partly in a dream state, your visual cortex can keep firing, producing hallucinations layered directly on top of your real bedroom, your real ceiling, your real door. And here's where it gets genuinely uncanny. Across wildly different cultures separated by oceans and centuries with no contact with each other, people describe almost the identical hallucination. A presence in the room, usually near the foot of the bed, or sitting directly on the chest. A crushing weight, a feeling of pure malevolent intent, sometimes a shadowy figure, sometimes something worse. Folklorist David Hufford spent years documenting this. He studied a rural Newfoundland tradition called the Old Hag, where people described a witch-like figure sitting on their chest at night, pinning them down. Hufford didn't stop at Newfoundland. He compared it to reports from completely unconnected cultures. The jinn possession, described in parts of the Middle East. The Kanashibari spirit binding reported across Japan. The incubus and succubus legends from medieval Europe. Different names, different mythologies, the exact same experience. That raises an obvious question. Why would isolated cultures with no shared history independently invent the same monster? Neuroscientist J. Allen Chaney at the University of Waterloo dug into this from the biology side. He proposed that the hallucination isn't random. It's your brain misfiring in a specific, predictable pattern. When your mind senses paralysis, it didn't choose. It interprets that as danger. A threat detection system built over millions of years of evolution kicks in. It scans the environment for the source of that danger. And when it can't find one, it builds one. Chaney's research suggested the brain often defaults to a humanoid shape because for most of human history, the most common threat in a dark room was another person or another predator. Your ancestors who imagined a threat and were wrong lost a little sleep. Your ancestors who failed to imagine a real threat sometimes didn't survive the night. So the presence you feel isn't a coincidence. It's a very old alarm system running exactly as designed with nothing real to point it at. This is where the modern research gets even stranger. Neuroscientist Baland Jalal, who has studied sleep paralysis across multiple countries including Egypt, Denmark, and Italy, found that the specific content of the hallucination often reflects the fears already embedded in that culture. In Egypt, where jinn are a common cultural belief, people overwhelmingly describe the presence as a jinn. In Italy, reports lean toward a witch-like figure. In Denmark, people are more likely to describe a vague shadow with no name attached at all. The paralysis is universal biology. The face you put on it is culture. Think about what that means. Your brain isn't hallucinating a demon because demons exist. It's taking a very real, very old survival signal and dressing it in whatever costume your particular culture has already prepared for exactly this kind of fear. Jalal's research went further than just documenting the phenomenon. He developed a technique to help people manage it, built on a simple but powerful reframe. If you can remind yourself in the moment that this is a known biological event and not an actual intruder, the fear response weakens, sometimes dramatically. That single piece of knowledge that this is REM atonia lingering a few seconds too long is often enough to shrink a genuinely terrifying experience down to something merely unpleasant. Which brings up the modern mirror in all of this. You live in an age that explains almost everything. You know why thunder happens. You know why the moon changes shape. You know why your food digests. And yet, when your own body glitches in the middle of the night, hallucinating a threat that isn't there, you reach for the same explanation your ancestors reached for thousands of years ago. Something evil is sitting on my chest. That's not a failure of intelligence. It's a reminder of how deep some of these systems run. Knowing the biology doesn't delete the fear in the moment. It just gives you something solid to hold on to once the moment passes. The old hag, the jinn, the shadow figure at the foot of the bed, they were never separate monsters invented by separate cultures. They were the same nervous system in the same vulnerable state, doing the same ancient job, reaching for a face to put on a fear it couldn't otherwise explain. You wake up, you can't move. But now you know the presence in the room was never something that came for you. It was something your own mind built out of the oldest fear it owns in the split second before your body remembered how to move again.